So I picked up quite a few books recently, and I thought it'd be a good idea to film a book haul, and I just want to get right into it. So let's see what I got. I've been slowly collecting the White Wolf editions of the Eternal Champion series, and I picked this up recently for a good price. I love that I found a decent hardcover. Now, most of my collection is hardcovers, which is a problem because I don't know if I want to keep investing in the hardcovers because they get real expensive real fast. I absolutely love these White Wolf editions. And look at that. Look at that creepy artwork. It's awesome. Love me some Eternal Champion, Michael Moorcock, all that. Super happy. Speaking of sword and sorcery type stuff, I picked up this Rialto The Marvelous by Jack Vance, first edition, first printing. I was shocked that I found this for like $15. And man, look at that. Look at that artwork. It's beautiful. It's just so cool. I love the Dying Earth series. I've read the first 2 of 4. I know Rialto the Marvelous is the last one. So finding that copy has definitely lit a fire under me to get back to the Dying Earth. It's just so fun. Speaking of fun, recently I got into Lee Child's Jack Reacher series. I read Killing Floor, and it's good. I had some squabbles with it, but the series really shows potential, and I had a lot of fun with it. And so I'm definitely going to keep reading them. And I happened to go to an antique mall, and in the basement, they have this entire wall of books that were just abandoned by the person who had rented out that space. Maybe they passed away or something. I don't know. They've literally been there for over a decade. And anyways, I go through them every once in a while, but most of it's junk. It hasn't really been taken care of. It's sitting in the basement of an antique mall. But I went down there and I happened to see 2 Lee Child books. And the first one was just super ratty, not even worth buying. But I saw this one. It's in a Brodart, like it's got a protective little case on it. And I looked at the back and it was only $1. And I flipped it open. I was like, well, maybe if it's a first edition, first printing, I'll pick it up. And I flipped it open and it's signed. Look at this. Can't believe it. Signed and dated. I got this thing for $1. It's amazing.
I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah, that one's a relatively early book in the series too, which is exciting. So I know I'm already 3 books into this, but I have a holy grail of mine. And I just remembered that I was going to talk about it today, and I'm going to save that for the end. So I really hope you stick around to check it out. This is something I've been looking for 5 or 6 years now, and it was the first time I've ever seen a copy in person. So the most expensive book I picked up is A Night in the Lonesome October by Roger Zelazny. This is a first edition, first printing. And the reason I picked this up is I've always wanted a copy since I got into Zelazny, and I was super jealous of everyone this past October that read it. And the really cool thing about it is there are 31 chapters, and what you do is read 1 chapter a day through all of October. And I told my wife about it, and she thought that was super cool too. So her and I are going to read it together this October. This will be really fun. I'm hoping she'll read some other Zelazny before she gets to this, just because I love Zelazny. But even if she doesn't, we're going to have a ton of fun with this. I really enjoy reading with my wife, like reading the same thing at the same time or back to back. Her and I read the entire Cosmere. It was like my 3rd time reading the entire Cosmere, but she read the entire Cosmere up to Rhythm of War over like 6 months, and we did it together. And then we did the same thing with the Dresden Files, and it's just so fun. I love having someone that you can share the books with, like right then, right when you're getting to them. Speaking of Roger Zelazny, let's go through a few more things. I picked up Frost and Fire, Fantasy and Short Fiction by Roger Zelazny. This thing is just super cool. I cannot get enough Zelazny. Every time I read something from him, it becomes a new favorite of mine. I picked this up for $8.50. It's such a good deal. It's not a book club edition. It's actually a first edition, first printing. I just flipped it open to check. And yeah, it's just exciting. I love collecting this stuff. I have such a beautiful Zelazny collection now. I think when I get some more Zelazny read, I might do a video where I just talk about the Zelazny book collection I've accrued over the last year. I don't even think it's been a year, but I got a lot. And now this Zelazny book, Roger Zelazny's Visual Guide to Castle Amber. I had no idea this existed. I was just on eBay, as one does when they're on the toilet, and I was just looking around, and this thing popped up, and I haven't read the Chronicles of Amber yet, but I saw this and I was like, holy crap. It showed some of the pictures, and they're just super cool. It gives the layout and stuff of Castle Amber, and I just think that's awesome. Like, I'm not going to read this yet because it also has an entire section dedicated to the cast of characters in the series, and so I can't read this without spoiling anything. But I checked the date on this, and this came out in 1988. So what I plan on doing is reading the Chronicles of Amber series up to this point, and then I'll read this. Kind of get it all sorted out in my head. This is going to be a little secret tech for me too. So this has the layout of the castle. I mean, every single floor, every single room. So what I've thought about doing is recently I've decided to start playing tabletop RPGs online. And so what I think I'm going to do is slowly put together maps from Castle Amber as digital tabletops to run my players through, and they're not going to know where it came from. It's going to be super cool. I might even try to run a game in Amber. We'll see. I need to read the series before I get too far ahead of myself. Yeah, I want to run like a sword and sorcery inspired game, and so I think that might be a perfect fit. Speaking of sword and sorcery, this is going to replace a book I already own, The Gates to Witchworld. So this is the first 3 Witchworld books in one big hardcover. And the nice thing about this is it's like a full-size hardcover. This already came with like a Brodart, all that. I picked this up for like $7, and it's replacing Annals of the Witchworld, which is a book club edition hardcover. And mine is in okay shape, like the dust jacket's not the best. It was definitely a readable copy, and I'm trying to get as much of the Witchworld as I can in hardcover because the little paperbacks just drive me nuts, and I'm not about that. So whatever I can get in hardcovers that will last, I will. And if I can upgrade them, I'll do that. And I really wanted this before I bought Annals of the Witchworld, but I could not find a copy for a decent price online. I happened to stumble upon this in person, and I was super excited. So I've been watching some Philip Chase videos, and he keeps talking about Janny Wirtz, and I really didn't know where to start with Janny Wirtz, but I didn't know if I could commit to another series. I recently calculated all of the science fiction and fantasy series I have started but not finished, and I'm at 40. So I don't need to start another one right now. I want to chip away at that before I get into like a big series. And so for Janny Wirtz, I picked up To Ride Hell's Chasm, and this is a first edition, first printing. And it was like $5. I don't know why it's so cheap. I looked up reviews. It doesn't have bad reviews. I think this book's a little polarizing, but I also saw that some people recommend this as a jumping off point for Janny Wirtz, so you can figure out whether or not you like her style without getting invested in a big series. Hopefully in the near future, I can read To Ride Hell's Chasm. And now here's something that very few of you will care about, but I have to share it. The new Bill James Historical Baseball Abstract. I already own a copy of this, but it's a trade paperback, and I used to own this hardcover, and I sold it for some reason. I'm just an idiot, I guess. So I picked this up for a good price. I just really wanted one that was going to last, and I'm just going to use like the trade paperback as like a toilet reader, because this is not a book that you read cover to cover. It's something you chip away at over time. I mean, it's literally the history of baseball seen through the eyes of Bill James, like everything he notices and all these stats and all this stuff. So what I'm going to do is like pick a decade and just read a decade and just chip away at it slowly over time. Speaking of something I'm going to have to chip away at slowly over time, because I feel like the options are binge the whole series or just get one in every month or two. The Vorosan series, and this one is Mirror Dance, and I'm super hyped that I found this because look at that. Look at that awesome cover. And this awesome cover is 100% an homage to Enemy Mine. There's no way that it's not. I'll post them both side by side right now so you can check it out. Yeah, it's awesome. There's a couple of covers for their Vorosan books that look like that, and each one of them is just an absolute banger, and I want them real bad. So I happened to pick up book 2 in a series. I have a mass market paperback of the first one, and it's Head On by John Scalzi. This is a really fun near future science fiction story. They're like murder mystery style novels in like near future. They're really exciting, and it's a really cool concept. It talks about people who are locked in. It's a medical condition where your brain functions perfectly normal, but your body does not work. You can't move at all. And what they've done in this near future is they've created these robots with sensory abilities, and these locked in people, their brains are connected to them through like a neural network, and they can live a life outside of their body. And it's just really cool. It's a really cool premise. And one of the things I really enjoy about this series is its first person perspective, and there's no gender assigned to the character. The character has a gender neutral name, and so you go through the whole series not knowing what their gender is, which for them personally, they're locked in. They really don't have like a reference because they've been in a robot their entire lives. And so like their robot doesn't have a gender. And it's just really interesting to read a collection of novels where the main character doesn't have a gender. It's a really cool concept. The audiobooks are also really cool because they have a man narrate them, and then they also had a woman narrate them. So you can pick and choose, or you can get both and just see what the difference is and how the narrator acts out the scenes and stuff. And I think that's just really, really interesting. We're getting toward the end. This thing I was going to buy at full price, but I ended up finding it at Recycled Books, The Worlds of Jack Williamson. And I don't feel too bad about buying this used because I have a pre-order coming from Hafner Press. I've already given them like $115 or something, so it'll be okay that I bought this used. I'll buy more from them, trust me. This hardcover is fantastic. The paper is super high quality. Like, that's one interesting thing about Hafner Press is Stephen Hafner has said like he's printing high quality books. Like, these books are built to last, and this thing is seriously built to last. This is a super book nerd moment, but when you look at the spine and the gluing and the stitching and everything, it's amazing. Even just the exterior of the book is just so crisp. Now that I've nerded out about the outside of the book and the quality of the build, let's actually talk about The Worlds of Jack Williamson. This has a collection of his short stories, and it's just super cool. Not only do you have a bunch of his best short stories in here, you have his master's thesis on science fiction, which is just amazing. Like, in the late 50s, he went back to college after his writing gig dried up, and you get the master's thesis. It's so cool. And I know that his PhD is like a best-selling book. So just having his master's thesis like in my hands, where he talks about some of the most popular science fiction writers of his era, it's just super cool. And there's a lot of essays in here from other people about Williamson's impact on the genre. And while I have only read one Williamson novel and it was just like okay, I don't hold it against him because he straight up said, I wrote this for money. So I don't blame him. You gotta get paid. But to have gone on and just been a master of the craft, I can't wait to get to this. It's going to be super exciting. It mixes everything I love reading all into one. You get the writings of a master of their craft, and you get the writer himself discussing the genre. It's just awesome. And then other people talking about him, and you've got all these popular writers in there discussing how much Williamson means to them. It's everything I want in a book. So I can't wait to get to it. So I know you've all stuck around for this, and I hope I don't disappoint you. I found for retail, not retail adjusted for inflation, for retail, for the MSRP that this was originally published at, I picked up the Black Company Tabletop RPG. Like, look at this. It's so good. Everything in it is amazing. You have a summary of every novel, a bio for every character that was a member of the company. You have bios for the baddies, some of the other side characters. It has rules for how to play Tonk. How to play Tonk! I just cannot believe that this even exists, and I finally found one in person. I've been searching for 5 or 6 years now, and I've wanted it so bad, and one of my biggest regrets was when Green Ronin was doing an inventory clearing sale. It was like $35 or something. And I was like, man, I really want to get this, but I really can't justify this right now. We had just had a baby. I was like, I got to live like I'm broke. And so I didn't get it. And then it sold out. And then I checked eBay and they're $200. So the fact that I found one of these for what it would have cost on a shelf originally, I just can't believe it. It's got a little damage. There's like a little damage right here on the spine. And then there's like a little crinkling right here. I think something got spilled on the book or something, but there's no damage to the pages. And you get this amazing Wayne Reynolds art. Wayne Reynolds is my favorite fantasy artist, especially for tabletop RPG work. It's just perfection. So this book is also really cool because it just breaks down how to play the Black Company as a tabletop RPG in D&D 3.5, which I've played Pathfinder, so I kind of have experience with D&D 3.5. But the great thing about this is how in depth they go with everything. And I'm going to be able to use that to either run the game as is or convert it. And if I convert it to something, I'm going to convert it to Dungeon Crawl Classics. In here, you can look at the big baddies like the Dominator. So in D&D 3.5, you can only get to level 20, which means anything above like level 25 or challenge rating 25 will just kill you. You can't beat them. The Dominator is level 75. 75? It just shows you how godlike some of these people are. And it's just super awesome to see these stat blocks and you're just like, what? How is this even possible? And I love it. And I can't wait to just dig through this. I'm going to read this thing cover to cover. And I mentioned it earlier, but one of the nice things about this is it works as a primer for a reread of the series. It shows you all the movers and shakers. It talks about all the events that happened. You get a timeline all the way back to before the Dominator was defeated until the very end of the book series. And it's just super, super exciting. I cannot believe that I finally got a copy of this, and I just wanted to make sure I shared it with y'all at the end of this. So this is a really fun book haul. I picked all of this up over like the last 2 weeks. So my wife and I, our main date, which I mention all the time on here, is going to Recycled Books up in Denton, Texas. That's what we did. Got some great coffee. I ate one of the delicious cinnamon rolls from Jupiter House, and then we went to Recycled Books, and I picked up some amazing stuff. And then this Black Company book I happened to find at a half-price books near where I work. I never go to that half-price books because it takes me 45 minutes to get home from work. If I drive to that half-price books, it takes me half an hour, and then it takes me another 35 minutes to get home. So I don't want to tack on 20 minutes to my drive just to go to a half-price books that was usually disappointing. But man, that trip was definitely worth it this time. Thanks for watching. If any of y'all have read any of these, let me know. I'd love to talk about them in the comments. If any of you have had some amazing book finds recently, let me know in the comments. I'd like to talk about them. Like I've said before, the hunting for the book is just as good as reading them. There's something special about researching books, searching for that holy grail, and then finding it. And so, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.